Greetings, everyone. My name is Sofia Osorio, and today I'll reflect on my professional practice, mainly in regard to my needs analysis and unit plan implementation. The purpose of this video is to raise awareness and to reflect on how the data collected in the needs analysis contributed to the process of planning and assessing during my professional practice. Hence, these are the topics that will be covered in the video. To begin with, during this semester, I was in Colegio Inmaculada Concepción, located in Talcahuano. It's a subsidized Catholic school with around 851 students and 62 teachers. The educational institution has 2 classrooms per grade with a wide diversity of available resources, such as projectors, tablets, books, and among other fundamental assets that enhance students' learning experiences. Needless to say, the community is highly religious, as it bases its foundation in the beliefs of Mother Pauline. Hence, they are supportive of activities that may foster collaboration with the schools with similar values. The class that I selected for this assignment was a 7th grade with 32 Chilean students and with less than 10 students presenting special needs. Based on my observations and interactions, these students are either A1 or below A1, according to the Common European Framework for Reference. They struggle with basic communication, but they are able to at least introduce themselves. Nonetheless, this group is super participative and motivated towards learning English. However, this depends on the day, as sometimes they can get very disruptive, which ends up hindering the normal flow of the class. Before implementing my unit, I administered a needs analysis, which is the one shown here. It consisted of a questionnaire with both open and closed-ended questions, and it was designed to collect information about their English skills, their motivation and opinions towards English, their prior knowledge, their learning process and goals within the subject, as well as how they interact with English outside school. This was extremely useful to streamline my understanding of students' needs, interests, and preferences, as it had provided me with pivotal information about what I needed to include in my unit plan. As a result of the questionnaire, I mainly discovered students' weaknesses and strengths in English, their preferred learning styles, in what areas they felt more confident using English, and what aspects they wished to improve. I discovered that students struggle with both receptive skills and both productive skills, and moreover, they said that they learn better with games and dynamic activities, that they benefit from peer work, and finally, that they require audiovisual support to learn. To formulate the unit objectives, I relied on 2 important documents: the 7th grade English curriculum from the Ministerio de Educación and Bloom's taxonomy. Based on the needs analysis results, I attempted to include their different struggles by also being coherent with the already planned evaluations of the unit. Since both assessments were focused on writing, I prioritized this skill, which can be seen as the reading production is repeated among my aims. Because of this, I could not focus as much as I wanted in speaking. In addition to specifically tackle their struggles and listen to their interests, aims 2, 6, 8, 10, and 11 were done in pairs or groups. Moreover, aims 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 were formulated either to be a SDL lesson or to include written and spoken input. Also, games, dynamic activities, and audiovisual support were of course included in different stages of the lessons. It's worth mentioning that all of this involved meaningful situations, such as describing the consequences, providing solutions, sharing ideas, and giving advice. In this way, I made learning more relevant. As previously implied, the insights that I gathered thanks to the questionnaire decided the materials employed throughout the unit. To make sure the class was engaging, all lessons were taught through a Canvas presentation, which allowed me to include different media such as pictures, interactive activities, videos, audio, and written texts to motivate the students to participate either individually or as a whole class. For instance, in response to their struggles in their receptive skills, I used YouTube videos, music, and texts as an instructional material. And I think they were appropriate for their age and English level because, for example, the videos I chose were brief and animated, and they even had subtitles. And to teach them vocabulary and expressions, I mainly used pictures to ensure they could connect new information with visuals. Additionally, I also incorporated platforms such as Wordwall, Wordle, and interactive worksheets to avoid teacher-centered lessons. Throughout my unit plan, I tried to incorporate all types of UDL adaptations because, as it's widely known, everyone learns differently. Due to time, the following UDL adaptations are only some examples. So in terms of representation, I ensured that all presentations had large font, bold keywords, and clear images to ease students' perception of the information. Moreover, most of the content presented in the lessons was illustrated through the multiple media. Regarding engagement, I made sure that students were able to play to learn, to keep them engaged and motivated. For instance, by including gamified platforms or activities, such as a warm-up activity where students needed to use English by saying the color and not the word. Moreover, due to the nature of the unit, the topics of the lessons were absolutely authentic, as it talked about current environmental issues. Finally, action and expression. Throughout the unit, I provided the students with multiple ways to demonstrate their knowledge, such as creating posters, comics, booklets, and mind maps. In fact, the last evaluation was the creation of a poster representing solutions for a green issue. I also enhanced the capacity for monitoring progress by assessing students with a rubric and by making them evaluate their partner through a checklist. In terms of assessing students' progress and understanding, the needs analysis elucidated students' need for constant support and encouragement. Thereby, throughout the lessons, I included CCQs and ICQs to constantly check whether students were understanding the content. Furthermore, I assessed their performance through stickers. In other words, all activities done, either to practice or to produce, were checked by giving them a sticker, which helped me identify which students I needed to give extra support during classes. In terms of summative assessments, I included both peer and teachers' assessments so they could also participate in their assessment process. Finally, I also emphasized the importance of personalized and consistent feedback by always monitoring and providing students with feedback and positive reinforcement. Some aspects that I considered when planning and delivering lessons were cultural and linguistic factors that emerged from the needs analysis and my own observations. Culturally speaking, the class was composed of only Chilean pre-teens who come from different social contexts. I took this into consideration and I included activities that were engaging to students from their age and authentic to their context, of course. For instance, since the unit was about green issues, I associated the content to what they see in their country. Now, regarding linguistic factors, my questionnaire revealed that they are between A1 and below A1, which means that they are not proficient in the language. As a result, I integrated slowed and repeated videos with subtitles, as well as simplified instructions and explanations. In addition, I considered that because their level is very basic, they are not confident using the language. That's why I did not overwhelm them with overly complicated tasks. Overall, I think I could have done more to address their needs, mainly because I focused on the majority of the answers, so I don't think I actually covered every single need as much as I wanted to. Moreover, some of the results obtained from the needs analysis needed more development, but due to time, this was not possible. For example, I wish I could have taught them reading and listening strategies to address their struggles in both receptive skills and to enhance them. In fact, based on their outcomes, this is needed, and I wish someone can do this in the future. Nevertheless, I do think that some of my efforts to address some of their preferences were successful because most students participated, even the shy and less confident ones. Now, based on feedback and observations made by the teachers, I would try to make my instructions more explicit in the future. Sometimes I just explained and I didn't ask what the students had understood from it because I unconsciously assumed that what I had just said was easy to follow. I have to consider that the students will participate more if they understand what I expect them to do or to learn. In future lessons, I will include more ICQs and CCQs as well as modeling to tackle this problem. And the last semester of teaching practice was the one that most resembled what teaching will be like as an official teacher. I was able to experience firsthand parent meetings and interviews, and I learned that being a teacher in charge of a grade required a lot of effort and time. From administrative tasks to more humane tasks, such as listening to them, resolving conflicts, and giving them advice. Certainly, I struggled and I doubted myself in several times as I felt I was roaming around without a proper foundation of what I needed to do. In addition, this practice allowed me to understand why my teachers looked so exhausted when I was a student at school. Depending on the week, sometimes the workload was a never-ending task, from having to check more than 60 tests to having to plan for 5 different grades, with the students with, of course, unique needs and preferences. As a result of everything I went through, I would say that some areas for growth are definitely related to organizing my time. And another area in which I still have room for improvement is classroom management. Because despite thinking that I improved through the years, this is definitely the area in which I need to enhance and find strategies to do so. Finally, I would say that this semester has been fruitful for me in all aspects. Now I know what kind of teacher I want to be perceived as. Instead of being a teacher who knows how to teach by the book, I want to be someone who listens to their students, because if we just ignore them, then their needs will never be addressed. I wish to be a professional capable of guiding students in the learning process, but at the same time, capable of promoting a safe class climate where students can be themselves. This long but beautiful experience and journey has prepared me for the future and has made me aware of the fact that I want to teach without forgetting my morals, so I can still look at myself in the mirror at the end of the day. And these are the references that I used in this assignment. Thank you so much for your attention.